What's going on, guys? So one that's continued to surprise me ever since the first spray. I found this one at Marshall's when I was in Louisiana for my trip, and I wore it pretty much every night following. And I've been doing random sprays during the day. I actually have a spray on my hand right now. Its first impressions grade was a 6.5, and I'm just going to give you a spoiler at the beginning of the video. That overall rating has gone up with Davidoff Cool Water, Grapefruit, and Sage. So stay tuned. So according to the note breakdown, what it says on the bottle, it's that simplistic. It's grapefruit and it's sage. The funny thing is, sage, at least to my knowledge, typically doesn't come across as much fresh spice, and you do get a little bit of a fresh spice tone to this. And I mean, it's not heavily spicy, but it is there as it dries more and more. It becomes more fresh, spicy, and slightly musky. Not really much of a wood feel, but at the top, you're going to get, as advertised, grapefruit and sage. The sage ties it to so many other blue fragrances. If you smelled Cool Water Intense, you're immediately going to think about that. It's not identical, but it does smell like a fresher version of Cool Water Intense, because Cool Water Intense, if I remember correctly, is amber, coconut, and I want to say vetiver is the other note. It smells like it has some ambroxan. It has that blue feel that sage can give you. I believe there's more going on there. Just like it's hard for me to believe that this is only two notes the way it dries, and it actually kind of transitions a little bit. It's not completely linear, though it is pretty one-dimensional for the most part. It doesn't drastically change, but there is some slight changes. Like I said in the top, you're going to get kind of a almost creamy type of grapefruit. There's no acidity here, so it's not very tart. It's not sharp in any way and astringent. That could be the sage kind of pulling away some of that acidity, because it's not too often you come across a grapefruit note that's more on the creamy side of things. Because it definitely is. It's very smooth, very creamy. This is a youthful fragrance. This is one that you can just spray on for anything, and people will smell you, which we will discuss performance in a little bit. That's another thing that surprised me about this fragrance. I found this for $26.99 at Marshall's for this 4.2 ounce bottle. Going rate, even at the rack stores, at Nordstrom Rack, was around $40, but now you can find it in the $30 or less range. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I gave it a 6.5, if I remember correctly, with my first impressions rating, which is better than good. It's not a terrible rating. I know people throw around 9s and 10s all over the place and devalue every other number. My rating system, a 6 and 6.5, is better than good. Just a good average fragrance is 5 and 5.5. So it's actually, at the end of this, going to go up a bit, because first impressions, I could see how this could be very boring and a little underwhelming, but as you spend time with it, at least for me, it gets better and better. It gets more enjoyable. It makes you want to reach for it. It's one of those fragrances where when you have a lot of fragrances and you can't quite figure out what to wear, and maybe your mind's wanting to be more situational than you really need to be, and you see this, you can just grab it, spray, and go on about your day, regardless of what you're wearing. Now, I wouldn't want to wear this to the most dressy of occasions, but this seems pretty versatile and would be able to work for just about anything. Nothing offensive about this scent profile. It has a familiarity without smelling like one particular fragrance. Sage, heavy sage especially, will do that in a fragrance. You'll be reminded of your Versace Eros's Boss Bottled Eau de Parfum. That's another one with a pretty prominent sage with a lot more spice. Like pretty much anytime there's a dominating sage note, it kind of smells similar. YSL-Y line, and so on. Like I said, it doesn't smell exactly like any one of those, but it'll remind you of fragrances like that. So the familiarity's there, the price is right, and the performance is fantastic. So let's talk about that performance. The very first spray from this fragrance, I sprayed it in the evening on my hand. It was there the next day while I was at the gym at lunchtime. It stays. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the beast that Cool Water Intense is, but every single spray has been 8+ hours. I can't imagine anyone really getting less than 8 hours on this fragrance. Even on pressure points, in heated areas where you have main arteries where it's a lot hotter and warmer and will make the fragrance project more and burn off faster, I still can't imagine anything below 8 hours. I'm not saying you're guaranteed 8 hours. It's just I'm very surprised at how well this fragrance performs. This is the second best performing Cool Water fragrance I've ever smelled, behind Cool Water Intense. This performs better than Cool Water Parfum. Do I like this better than Cool Water Parfum? No. I still think Cool Water Parfum is the best of the bunch for me personally. But this might come in a close second because I see more situations and more wearability out of this than Cool Water Intense, because Cool Water Intense is overwhelmingly powerful sometimes. This has a lot of that same scent profile, dials back the projection just a bit, doesn't really lose the longevity. But again, projection's still pretty damn stout. It's beyond arm's length for the first 2 hours. This stuff is really strong. Not quite as strong as Cool Water Intense, but stronger than Cool Water Parfum, Cool Water Eau de Toilette, pretty much all of the summer flankers. Very shocked by the performance with this one. You're getting a bargain here if performance is super important to you at that $27 price point that I paid for it at Marshall's. If you can find this for $27 and you just want something versatile that smells good but performs, this is one of those fragrances that you'll be satisfied with. I'm very surprised by the performance here. It really does the job really well. Like I said, nothing complex and complicated about this fragrance. It doesn't smell like some super expensive fragrance. Yes, it's more on the synthetic side, sure, but out in the air, this stuff, it's just great. Like I said, in the event somebody smells you and wants to say something about it, more than likely it's going to be very positive and make you smile, because I think this stuff actually smells pretty damn good. And sillage on it is moderate to mild, not too weak, not too strong. Performance is above average across the board, with longevity being in the beast mode territory, projection bordering it. Not quite a beast in projection, but bordering it. It's very strong. I would call it very strong projection. Above average projection in the first 2 hours, and then the sillage is slightly above average with moderate to mild. Final thoughts on Cool Water Grapefruit and Sage. This one impressed me. I was not wowed upon first impressions, but like I said before, every single spray, I've started to like it more and more and more. It really suits my taste. If you like blue fragrances, you will like this. This is a blue fragrance, not just by the juice color. This is blue fragrance like Cool Water Intense is blue fragrance. More so than the Parfum even, which is still kind of falls into the category, but more so than the Parfum, and definitely more so than the Eau de Toilette original. It just absolutely works. I actually think this is a very good fragrance. I think it bumps up an entire point from my 6.5 initial rating to this is very good at 7.5. Yeah, it bumped up an entire point for me because the performance really gave it a boost, because I always liked how it smelled from the very first spray. It just got better and better and better, and that really suited it as far as the rating system. So, in my opinion, don't hesitate to roll the dice on this one. Look, there's going to be some people that if you blind buy this one at the rack stores, there's always room to be disappointed. But I really feel like more times than not, if you like similar styles, if what I had to say in this video kind of suits your taste, you're probably going to like this. It's pretty much blind buy safe. Obviously, if you can find a way to sample it first. It's supposedly a limited edition fragrance. So sample it first. But I think you could do a lot worse on blind buys on a lot of different fragrances in the $30 and below price point. I think it's very good. Well, that is my final thoughts and full review on Davidoff's Cool Water Grapefruit and Sage, supposedly a limited edition fragrance. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. How many of you already have this? What do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you disagree with my assessment? That's totally fine. I'd love to read about it in the comments and see what you guys think. I'm sure this was kind of boring for some, and then for others, it's like, yeah, I'm so glad I grabbed this. it's what I was looking for as far as versatility and performance, because it definitely has both of those in spades. It's extremely versatile in its scent profile, nothing complicated, easygoing, and it's going to stick to your skin and people will smell you. What more can you ask for in the sub $30 price point? And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Cool Water Grapefruit and Sage and you give it a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.